Like where the guy struggles and he gets over it and he makes it.
Yeah.
I fell on my ass. I thought I got to the top of Mount Everest, and Mount Everest just fucking slide right underneath me, man. I was like, God, dog, I gotta start from scratch again. Scratch became my friend, literally, man. So, you know, that's how you put in the book, man. Just going up, going down, going up. Just a real raw version of how my life was. And it was so in depth to go back through your life with a fine-tooth comb that I almost got embarrassed to even put it out there to people.
Yeah.
That's what you understand, man. Like, even me right now to talk to you, I'm in the car for a fucking hour getting pumped up because I'm a shy, introverted, leave me alone type of guy. Like, I'm still that motherfucker who is 6 years old, you know, at a play who can't say his line because I know I'm going to stutter in front of 5 people. So I walk off the stage. That's still me. So every day I'm fighting that dude. So people think, oh my God, man, you're on a podcast. You look so crazy, so evil. No, I'm trying to be locked into Joe. So my mind isn't veer off saying, let's run out the damn door because people are watching me on the fucking podcast. I want to open this damn door and get the hell out of here, man. So that's the real me. So I'm not sadistic, man. I'm focused on what I have to do to stay locked into the game of life. And that's why I tell people, man, I go there. I go there.
That's one of the reasons why this book is so good, is because you're so honest about your vulnerabilities and how you overcome them. And for people that see someone who's a beast, who's done great things, you just assume that they're different than you.
Right.
But then you hear about your insecurities and your pitfalls and all the things that went wrong with you, and you realize, well, God damn it, those are the same things that go wrong with me.
Myself was so fucked up, it was so wrong, it was so misguided, and other people start to write that dialogue for you also, and it starts to be what you say to yourself every single day. And I started creating a whole nother warfare, a whole nother battle started becoming. I was like, oh, hang on a second, God, you have these tools. You have these tools. Your life was basically the perfect grounds for training for where you need to go in your life. All the beatings, all the bullying, all the, you know, you going through learning disabilities, all the struggles. It was the absolute perfect training ground for you to go to where you need to go. And that's how I started looking at my life versus woe is me, poopy pants, kick a rock down the street mentality. It was, nah, God just hooked you right the fuck up. He hooked you right up, man, with the perfect place. You were training. For the first 18, 19, 20, you were training for this stuff, man. You have the advantage of everybody else versus, my God, they're so above me. They came from a great family. Mom and dad love them. They didn't have a learn. They didn't stutter. They didn't struggle. No, man, your struggle is what made you who you are now. So I started flipping this into a whole different. I started being a master of what I was scared of. I was scared of my mind, and I became literally a master of that mind. And that's what now, from now on, it sets me apart from most people. I started diving into that.
Well, that is a big part of the story, is when you go over your childhood and your abusive father, and then having this great guy that was going to become your stepdad, and then he gets murdered. It's like right when you're about to get out of it, everything looks good, boom, and he gets murdered. It's like these things really did sort of set you up to start from scratch again. Just go, okay, roger that, we start from scratch. And now you have that attitude. You developed it through all of these horrible personal experiences, all the trials and tribulations, all the evil shit that people try to do to you. That sort of set you up to be able to deal in a way that a lot of people can't.
Well, I used to look at my life from a different vantage point. And when you're in all the muck and you're just walking in muck and walking in muck and walking in muck, you don't see that if you look off to the fucking left of the muck, there's a sidewalk, brother. Get off of it. You have your head down looking in this muck. Once I saw the sidewalk, got the sidewalk, I got a little break. And I got a different vantage point. And then from the sidewalk, I found a cliff. Then I found a mountain. I got way up high on top of my life and looked back down on it and said, okay, I gotta figure this out, man. I'm not going anywhere. I'm starting to lie. So when you have a messed up foundation, I started lying about everything. I wanted people to like me. I wanted to be accepted in some society of life, some social society. And I was like, man, this isn't the right way. I messed up here, I messed up here, I messed up everywhere. And so I realized the worst thing that happened to me is I lost myself. I never had myself. I never found myself. I had no self-esteem. So I knew through working out and through learning, it took a lot for me to learn also. I started finding self-esteem. Once I found that, that's when doors started opening up. I stopped caring about people, that what they thought, being judged. Wow, if I say this, if I started right now, are you gonna make fun of me? I stopped caring about that. And that's when my life started really changing for me, slowly but surely.
That's such an important point when you're talking about the working out, because a lot of people, when they think about working out, they think of it as being a physical thing.
Right, no. I did it for mental.
Yeah.
People always say, my God, like, no, don't look at it like, I didn't care about losing weight. I didn't care about being the fastest person. I wasn't making the Olympics. I wasn't going to pros. I could barely read and write when I was in a junior in high school. I wasn't going anywhere. I saw working out as a way for me to build calluses on my mind. I had to callous over the victim's mentality. So I watched these movies. I talked about Rocky last time I was on here. I always equated training to mental toughening. Like, it always looked brutal. People waking up early and doing all these things. It looked horrible. I was like, wow, man, I gotta start doing that. Not to get better, bigger, and stronger, but that is what's gonna build me. That looks uncomfortable. That looks brutal. And getting up early, I don't want to do that. So I made this long list of things I don't want to do. And through that, I found myself. I started, I'm like, you guys aren't doing this shit in high school. You guys are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running over here in this golf course. So I started seeing myself very differently than the average human being. I was like, hang on a second. I have something they don't have. And that's when I started to develop these things through working out. It was this great, never-ending work ethic. And through work ethic, I developed self-esteem.
Now, is this something that you learn? Is this something you learn yourself from exercise yourself? Or is this something you had read or heard about? Like, what made you equate doing this and doing these difficult things physically to mental toughness, to being, this is the discipline that you need in order to get your life out of the situation you're in?
So I never read anything. I could barely read, so
right.
I wasn't reading back then. I watched a lot of movies, and I was really big into visualization. And I always equated working out to struggle. And I struggled my whole life, but I ran from it. So I started realizing that I gotta start facing the struggle, and I gotta be mentally strong for the struggle. So that's why I started coming up with, I'm training for life. Mentally, I'm training for life. I'm not training for to lift 400 pounds. And I found out on my own pretty much, is that through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do, and that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind. You start to armor your mind, because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. It's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day. So then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. And that's how I started coming up. I just started being very uncomfortable. Now it's like just a way of life.
It's a crazy thing to figure out, though. It's like that you figured it out, and you didn't just figure it out, you embraced it. Like when you were talking about your senior year of high school, when you're talking about your mirror being your accountability mirror, like you had a radical shift. Like you just decided to not be a fucking loser,
right,
and to start tightening up and start holding yourself accountable and get ready for things.
So I had this my whole life. I mean, I don't know if people believe in God or what. I don't care what you believe in. There's been this unrelenting voice in my head. We all have this voice. It's the right or wrong voice. And a lot of times that voice guides us into comfort. And my voice guided me into comfort a lot. But I have this other voice I heard my whole life saying, hey, motherfucker, what are you doing? No, man, we gotta go over here. We gotta go over here to that rock pile over in the fucking corner where nobody's at. That's where victory's at. We're over in that corner. So this voice was giving me all these answers. Now, I wasn't a real smart kid growing up, but I had this crazy voice in my head saying, over there is where the fucking answers are. And I wouldn't listen to it because over there was pain. Over there was me looking in the mirror. Over there was me being accountable for all these things that went through my life. Even though people put them on me, it's now mine to own. And I didn't want to go over there by myself, but I had to. And this voice was guiding me there. It's God, whatever you want to call it. But that's what it was in me.
Do you think that's just what when yourself from your ego and what your insecurities and all you like. If you were giving yourself advice, you would say that's what the thing is to do. So do you think that's what it was, like your subconscious, or you stripped away from all the bullshit when you couldn't lie to yourself because it's a voice in your head?
It's exactly it. It's exactly it. Because
it knew.
It knew. I was a character. I was trying to find myself through a character. I was making different hairstyles and sagging my pants, and I was off. I was off, man. I was a clown. I was a clown, and I was like, this is not where you're supposed to be in life, man. And it's ugly when you look in that dirty mirror and you're trying to do a new hairstyle to go to school. You know, I had a hairstyle one time where I shaved the top of my head. You know how old men had the hair like leaving their head? Yeah. So I went to school with hair on the side of my head and in my back, and I shaved the whole top of my head. I went to school like that, you know. And then I had like,
what did the kids say?
I don't remember what they said, but I was just a funny dude. You know, so that was my thing. I was a funny dude that came into school like Criss Cross came out when I was in high school. So my pants were backwards. That's, you know, I had my pants backwards, sag down past my ass crack, shirt turned backwards, put a toothbrush in my mouth with the reverse part. Reverse part is your head is shaved and you have some hair on top. Just a little piece of hair versus like a part through hair. The part was on a bald head. So it was just, I would sit at home instead of studying. I would think about what can I do to impress the motherfucker at school.
Wow.
And that became my life. That is a long road to hoe to get to the guy who says, now, you don't ever smile on any podcast. Look so serious. I look at that shit like, you motherfuckers have no idea who I am, where I come from to get here today.
You could have probably been an entertainer. Like you were doing all that kind of shit.
I got some jokes, you know. I got some jokes.
I bet you do.
So, what people read in this book can't hurt me. It's a sad story, it's horrible stories, it's tragic stories, it's stories that made me one today. But you got to learn to laugh at yourself too. Once you go through that shit, so there's a lot of parts in there, there's a lot of me against a lot of white people, you know? And I have a routine that I won't do, so people who hire me to speak, I'm not gonna do the routine. I often do it sometimes. Think about it. I was a 36 black guy to go through SEAL training, okay?
Out of how many people?
Out of probably, looking at probably 11, 12, like to make it through, probably 13,000 SEALs. I was probably the 36 black guy to make it through. You know, we're since like the 1940s. You know, you're looking at almost 70 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So you know, do the math on that. So there's not a lot of black guys, and so I take that and I make a nice comedy skit out of that shit. You know, like the first time they tied me up and threw me, it's called drown proofing.
Yeah.
So I'm negative boring as hell. You know?
Me too.
Oh.
I'm related to that big time.
Yes, you and a few white boys, man, they're negative boy. You sit like a rock. And that's hard. So imagine them getting your hands and feet, tying your ass up and throwing you in the fucking water and say swim. It was like throwing a cat in the water with fucking a brick on it. So I was just losing my fucking mind. So it's so many things I had to get over. You know, and I found humor. I found humor in my suffering. I'm like, motherfucker, what are you doing out here, God? It's like, this is crazy. Like, you're literally trying to reinvent the wheel. I was trying to reinvent my mind. And I used every single tactic possible to do that. I didn't want to live in this world where I was a fake human being anymore. And I was tired of blaming everybody for where I was at. My dad beat me, this happened. I mean, my dad ran prostitutes, man. My dad literally snatched the soul out of my mom. Like, my mom is still battling. Like, after my mom left my dad, and this is what I'm talking about in the book, she got married 3 times for a total of 6 months. You know, I don't go there, and I'm not even talking about the guy she married. So this woman, she's beautiful, she's so smart, all this stuff, man. This guy literally stripped her soul away. And I keep watching it. And I had no soul to begin with. And my brother, he has a story that he can write 8 books. You know, my dad just came through and just washed us all clean. So to come out, around, he died about 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, not for sure. I didn't go to the funeral, but I forgave him. So I saw my dad do an 8-year-old die. So we left when I was 8. And then at 22, I went back to see him through a grown man's eyes. He's the same person I remember. But I had to. You can't live with hate. You cannot move forward. As much as that guy tried to ruin all of our lives, that's where I came from. I had to figure out the origin of where I started from. So when I was going back through my life trying to fix who I am, the fucked up person I was, like, if your knee hurts, it's usually not your fucking knee that's hurting. It's something else, man. It's like, it could be a tight quad. It could be the right leg if it's the left leg. You gotta find out the origin of where all this shit began. And it was him. So I had to go back to where, you know, my roots and the origin of all this happened, and it's hard to do that.
Did you make peace with him?
I made big peace with. So we didn't have a peaceful conversation. We left very animal. He's a vicious man. He was a vicious man. I mean, medieval motherfucker. So I had become a medieval motherfucker at that time. I was 22 and I was the big boy. So I was no longer the guy who was afraid. It was now like, hey, I want to kill you type of shit. And we were sitting at Denny's after an all-night skate or whatever the hell. But, you know, he owned bars and skating rinks and shit like that. So we were sitting down and we kind of got into it, and I just kind of left. But I had to make peace with it in myself. I could not hold on to that hate, because holding on to that hate was half the reason why I kept falling into the same pattern of failing. I had to start dumping off some baggage. I had to start figuring out me through him, and that's all he was there for. He was the origin. I had to figure him out, figure out why he was so evil to my mom, to me, my brother. And I had to start studying him. Like, a lot of people have situations where someone does something and we all attack that person, like on the media. If someone does something wrong, everybody now is fucking perfect. And we now judge this guy. I don't judge him. I don't judge anybody. What I do is I start studying them. Why did they do that? Not in a judging way. I want to learn from him.
What did you get out of your dad?
I got that he grew up rough. He was very insecure, had a lot of kids, and his insecurities just trickled over onto us. So, yeah. He never fixed himself. So if you never fix yourself, the next person in line is going to get the rat. And we were next in line. You know, his first wife, you know, killed herself or whatever happened, and, you know, got burned up in a house or something, some craziness, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on there that I didn't put in the book because I don't feel like going to court.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a lot of stuff.
You know, one of the great parts about this book is that you detail exactly what was going through your mind in terms of like your weaknesses and how you had failed, and then it's not just one time. Like you do the thing in high school where you get your shit together, and then you join the military, and then you wind up getting fat again, and then when you have to lose 106 pounds in 3 months to qualify for SEAL training.
SEAL training, yep.
That's insane.
Yeah, because what I realized at that time, once again, I failed again. I thought, so what you talk about is I took this ASVAB test. You know, I didn't know how to read and write pretty much in high school. I was like at 4th grade reading level. And I took that test a few times, and I finally passed it. And when I passed it, I actually drove my car to the daggone airport and watched planes take off. Because I was like, I'm gonna be on one of those planes one day going to Air Force boot camp. So I always fixed the things on the surface. So if I couldn't read and write, I learned to read and write. I would always fix these things on the surface level. And so whenever something hard would raise its ugly head, I didn't have any kind of tools to handle it. Like, man, I thought I fixed this already, man. But no, I didn't go deep into the dungeon of my soul to say, okay, what is making you a quitter? What is making you a weak man? What is making you afraid? And so that's why I kept on quitting and going back to start, or not knowing how to get through hard times. And that's why I was telling people, I'm not a theorist. I didn't study, I didn't study a fucking book. I literally put myself in a fire repeatedly like a sword. You put a sword in a fire repeatedly. If you keep on doing that, you're going to get a nice sword. And then you keep on beating it. You got to beat the shit out of it. And that's what I am.
Yeah.
I became that. I said, okay, we can't quit. We got to figure out why you are this pussy. Why are you this pussy, man? What is wrong with you? What's going on here? So I kept on putting the sword back in the daggone fire, and I just beat it harder. And I beat it harder. Before I knew it, I started realizing, all right, man, the brain is starting to get hard. The brain is starting to get hard. I'm no longer a theorist. I'm now a practitioner. I put it in hell. I dissected it while it's in hell, because you can't dissect anything in a normal environment. You can't dissect anything in 72-degree weather. You must put it in the fucking freezer and freeze the fuck out of it. And then you dissect it. Dissect it when it's miserable. Dissect the brain when all it's thinking about is, I need to get out of here, man. I want to get out of the fucking freezer. Open the door. And he said, nah, 5 more seconds, man. 5 more seconds in the freezer. And that's when you start to pick that brain apart. And that's what all this stuff did to me. I kept on putting myself back into the freezer or the fire and beating the shit out of myself, mentally and physically. Before I knew it, this is what happened.
Wow. It's an interesting way to self-teach. You
Yes.
know, like most people that, you talk to that are disciplined, they, they have something that they read that inspired them. They have certain people that they look up to. There's certain, coaches that taught them. There's certain important moments in their life. But for you, it's a system of failure and reflection,
Yes.
and then rebooting.
That's it.
Yeah.
Repeated failure. And people think a lot of times about me that I'm angry. Oh my God, you sound so angry. You cuss so much. Oh my God, why you cuss so much? Why are you so crazy? If you read my book, I cannot explain my life by saying, hey, it was a Merry fucking Christmas, man. No, it wasn't. I want you to go there with me. I'm taking you there with me. I'm a storyteller. I want to take your ass down paradise. So the house I lived in Buffalo, New York, that I got my ass beat every day, funny. We lived on Paradise Road. And it was anything but fucking paradise. So I want you to go there with me. You want to learn from me? Let me take your ass home. Let me take you there. So that's the whole thing about it, man. We're scared to dive into our lives. What made us who we are? The beautiful people that we are. We're all jacked up in so many ways. That's the beauty of us. That's the beauty of me. I'm jacked up. But I figured out my own little process on how to get unjacked up and I'm not going to get the same, I'm not going to get the same way you're going to get there. You may get there by going point A to point B. I might go point C to D to E to F. I'm going to be there the same way you are, just a little harder. That's how I train my brain. So it's just different. I'm a different thinker.
When you stop and think about all the different times that you did have to reboot and how you found like new goals and you found new inspiration and you fired up a new discipline and you became stronger and harder and you got... One of the things that people always look for in life, they look for a point where they can rest.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
I'm gonna retire. Like people love that expression, the golden years. They love that expression.
Yes.
They love the idea of struggle as long as it ends, and then when it ends, they're gonna have a nice, comfortable spot.
It must end.
Yeah,
The
must
suffering
end.
must end.
Yeah, you should relax, man. You've done so much.
That's right.
You've really done so much. But the idea of reaching this golden year it's a very flawed idea, because it's you're going to work hard, but then you're going to reach the finish line. But there's no finish line.
No.
It doesn't exist.
That's the scary thing about life, my friend.
That is a scary thing, right?
And that's what fatigues me. People go, man, why don't you ever smile? There's no fucking end, my friend. There's no end. There's no end.
I know that you're going to meet Cam Haynes after this.
Yes, sir.
And listen, please, if you guys run, put a number of that miles that you're going to run and leave it at that. Do not say, let's see who quits, because you will both die. Because that's a hard man.
He is a hard man.
Cameron Haynes is a hard man. He will run until you die or he dies.
He's a hard man, dude.
He does those 240s. He does those ultra. He's a sick fuck.
And see, those are the guys I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's a scary. The two of you guys need to pick a number.
I know.
Whatever you get. I think you guys are gonna run 35 miles.
Yeah.
And you're gonna do good.
Yeah,
35 is a good number.
Yeah, we've
Leave
been
it at that.
texting back and forth, trying to make it sensible,
Yeah.
so we don't go off the chain.
Because if one of you motherfuckers wakes up and has a good strong espresso,
I know.
and goes, fuck it, let's do 300.
It's gonna be on.